All right, hey guys, here we are, hole 5. Now, this is my least favorite wind for this hole. You really can't go lightning rod too well on this. It's something I probably could do and play this fairway here. But it's not the easiest shot to pull off until you get, a little bit more backspin. But the only other alternative that I can have here, and you'll see this is what I sometimes do, is I'll go Mojave and we'll use a Bigfoot. But if I use Bigfoot, I'm going to have to go full overpower. Because what happens is I pull the target down. This is the worst wind for this hole. If you've ever been forced with this wind, what ends up happening, if I have Bigfoot, the max line's usually right around here, something. And what happens is you end up pulling into the water. You're pulling into lower grounds, which means it's less affected by this wind, and it also lands short, so you end up having to go pull. I end up always going full power, and then we play around with the spin. Sometimes I'll use 7 bars, sometimes I'll use 5. It's really just dependent upon the magnitude of the wind. But it might be a little bit easier in this scenario for us to just use this and then use one of our special balls to an extent. I'm thinking, Vanquish or Pro D, something in that category, just to really be able to kind of land on this fairway here. And you can see that's even with a 7. If we can get it into the 6s, even better. Because getting it into the 6s is going to make it easier to get the rollout to be a little bit more true. Now keep in mind, like I said, this is the absolute hardest wind for this hole. Probably the last thing that you want to see for this one, because you don't want to move down into this water here. It's very tough to adjust rings here, moving down into the water. So I'm thinking a very similar adjustment to what I did on the last hole. You can see I'm times the 2.2, somewhere in this ballpark is what I'm thinking. So 13 some rings I feel pretty good at. And you can also see that I'm using left spin. It's got some right break here, and that what that does is it allows me to kind of hold this line. You can see how I kind of have, if I get this going and landing right here, it'll kind of hold the line and kind of roll out straight. So that's why I'm using side spin here. So do keep that in mind as to why I'm doing that. Now the question that I have to always be thinking, how much is this ball guide going to stretch out in a tailwind? So I'm trying to anticipate it a little, doing that. But it's hard to know exactly precisely how much that's going to happen. But 13.4-ish rings, very tough to do in the water. That's why I said, this is definitely one of the toughest. So there's 5 rings, and you can see the rings just kind of disappear on you. So what I'll do is I'll pull the 10th ring pretty much to the edge, kind of like this. So you'll see that. And we still need to move more rings. So one of the things that I'll try to do here is we'll just try to straighten this up a little bit. I usually may go this way. It's a little bit easier. But again, as you can see, look how tough it is to see the target. Where the target is in relation. So it's very tough to pull precise rings here. So we just kind of gotta, I gotta use that reflection in the water to kind of give me the next 3. So you can see that I kind of have it lined up there to where maybe the 3rd ring is kind of disappearing into the water. So we'll use that as kind of our threshold. And we'll say, we'll go maybe about 3 more, somewhere in the ballpark of this. Now, notice how the target is in the water again. This is low ground. If I was to shoot this shot here, what's going to end up happening, it's probably going to land low towards the water here and not land up. So to get it to land more up, we're just going to straighten up this guide like you see me doing. And then we're going to, again, pull up straight a couple of rings. And again, we're going to use that water reflection as kind of our precision counter. So I'm thinking that's somewhere in the neighborhood of 2. It's probably close to where we want it. So pretty good overall. It looks just a little, I might have just got a little too aggressive with that ring push up at the end. So you can see it just landed a little bit long. And what happened when it landed long there, just a tad, what ended up happening is it kind of missed the, it kind of overlaunched. The wind took it just a little bit more, so it went just a hair to the right. You can see we still gave it a pretty good effort. And those are the things that you want to, pay attention. You can see a lot of these, everything's 850 plus, except for, like I told you, I knew that first hole was going to be a bit of a bear. Pretty much the toughest. But in terms of the ring adjustment, that really dictates how close and precise you can be. We've really hit kind of a nasty stretch here, especially on that fifth hole. I like to get aggressive on that pin, and I just couldn't do it. With that situation that they gave me, I just couldn't get aggressive there, unfortunately. So just a little too in between clubs there for my liking. But we're going to try to get aggressive on this sixth. Catch you guys on this one momentarily.